Barcelona always makes headlines for what happens on the pitch, but this week the biggest story lives in balance sheets and paperwork as much as in training sessions. The club has been racing against La Liga's registration rules and a shrinking salary cap, and the outcome of that race will be felt at kick-off against Rayo Vallecano. Gerard Martin, the homegrown left-sided defender many fans have waited to see fully integrated, has finally seen his registration processed, giving Hansi Flick a fresh defensive option just in time for the weekend. That clearance didn't arrive by magic. It came after careful negotiations and financial manoeuvres behind the scenes that briefly turned Camp Nou into a transfer room war room. Wojciech Szczesny's situation is another tidy piece of the puzzle. The veteran goalkeeper has agreed a new deal, and his presence on the books gives Barcelona experience cover at a position that suddenly looked thin after other moves. That extension not only shores up confidence between the posts, but also forces the club to balance wages and quotas more tightly than they might have liked. At the same time, Rooney Bardi, a promising attacker signed with high hopes this summer, finds his immediate fate pinned to another player's next step. Reports suggest his registration as a first-team player is being held until Hector Fort's loan move is confirmed, because the club prefers to avoid registering him as a reserve to sidestep complications with La Liga's rules. In short, one youngster's path out the door unlocks another youngster's chance to break through. The domino effect here is instructive. Barcelona's squad planning is no longer purely about tactics or player development, it's a financial tightrope where a single departure can free enough salary space to change who's available on Sunday. That reality was underscored when the club negotiated departures and salary adjustments, including the resolution around Oriol Romu's contract, precisely to generate the room needed to add these faces to the match-day picture. The arithmetic of the books has become part of the manager's selection headache. Sources close to the board indicate that executives are even prepared to offer personal guarantees if necessary to ensure licenses get processed, a sign of how badly the club wants to field these players and how constrained the current financial framework remains. That willingness to step in with guarantees tells you two things at once. Barca sees immediate sporting value in having these players available, and it's braced to use unconventional means to navigate La Liga's tight rules. For Hansi Flick, the practical upshot is a suddenly expanded, yet still fragile, set of choices. If Gerard Martin is fit and on the team sheet, Flick gains a left-sided defensive option who can cover Alejandro Balda or even slot inside as a left centre-back if tactical tweaks are needed. Szczesny's registration gives the coach a reliable backup whose presence lifts pressure from the rest of the goalkeeping group and allows rotation without panic. Bardi, if registered as planned, adds a young attacking spark that could change the timing of substitutions and the manager's late-game gambits. But those gains are conditional. One failed loan, one delayed termination, or one misread of the salary ledger, and the entire plan shrinks again. So while supporters can celebrate the short-term wins, the bigger storyline is the club's balancing act between ambition and regulation. Looking beyond Sunday, the consequences of this week's moves ripple into squad morale, the transfer market's perception of Barcelona's financial flexibility, and Flick's ability to plan for a long season. If the board follows through with guarantees and the paperwork holds, Flick could have depth he desperately needs. If not, the club may pay for haste with limited options in key matches. Either way, the Rayo game is now a test of more than tactics. It's a litmus test of Barca's capacity to marry sporting urgency with financial reality, and by the final whistle we'll know whether the Sunday 11 reflected clever planning or a last-minute scramble that brought short-term choices at a cost.